this?
It's a seahorse.
It's a seahorse. What's his name? What's his name?
I don't know.
What'd you tell me his name was this morning?
Capricorn.
Capricorn.
Yeah.
Are you a Capricorn?
I am.
Yay! Well, hello everyone. This is Chrystal Lynn, Cowgirl Astrologer, and I am super excited today to be continuing my Rising Sign series. Today we are going to be talking about Capricorn Rising. Woohoo! I made it all the way to Capricorn Rising. And for those of you who are new to my channel or new to astrology, I'll just give you a quick an analytical analysis of the rising sign is based upon your time of birth. And this is where the sun was rising from the east. So as we come into this world, this beautiful light shines upon us and gives us this persona. It's what other people see in us. So although you may have a sun or moon in another sign, if you have a Capricorn rising, this is going to be a very dominant energy in your life. Now, our rising sign sets off our life path. And today I'm going to be talking about the general life path for the Capricorn rising. For those of you who are asking, based on degree of your rising sign, sometimes these houses can be placed a little differently. But for today's video, we're going to talk about the general placements of the Capricorn rising. So first of all, you guys may be asking me, what the heck is going on back here in my wall? Well, this is the artwork of my sun in Capricorn sun. He's 4.5 years old. And oh my gosh, he wanted to draw all over my house. And I have little artworks everywhere. And I just love them. But really like everywhere. So I decided to give him his own wall. But I want you guys to notice that his artwork is very specific. This is a whole storyboard going on. A whole story in very compartmentalized pieces. And that is often how the Capricorn sees life. Now, if you do not know your time of birth and you do have a sun or moon in Capricorn, you may identify with some of the things I'm going to talk about today. Okay, so stay tuned. The other thing I wanted to share with you guys, which was kind of odd, my little sun in Capricorn sun brought me this little sea goat this morning. And you know what he said to me, which I thought was really odd? He said, Mommy, I want to give you this. And I said, well, what's his name? And he said, Capricorn. And I don't remember ever telling him that the Capricorn was seahorse. And he has heard me call him my little Cappy. But I thought that was really intelligent of him. So I thought I'd share that with you. So our little seahorse today is going to be helping us with this video. So Capricorn rising. Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. Now, we all know that we tremble a little bit when we talk about Saturn because Saturn is really the law. It's really our moral compass. It's that right and wrong. It's truth. It's reality. It's not really that exciting. In fact, Saturn can be kind of cold, kind of flat, because Saturn doesn't really care about emotional stuff. He wants to get things right. Because if we can lay a foundation in our life based on certain principles, right and wrong principles, whatever they are for you, then as we build on those principles, we can often be very successful in our lives. We can build a very, solid life. And the Capricorn rising understands what it means to have that internal dialogue going on all the time inside of them. Capricorn rising often can deal with things such as depression or kind of a feeling of defeat. Life is a struggle. Because it is the sea goat, they're always having to climb this mountain to reach their goals. And so they suffer with a lot of obstacles. They do not get things handed to them very easily. And they often start working and taking care of things at a very, very young age. Now, my daughter is a Capricorn rising. My little 4.5-year-old has the sun in Capricorn. And my older son has the moon on the cusp of Capricorn Aquarius. So I know a little bit about this Capricorn energy because of the fact that they have to work so hard and climb. They kind of understand that emotions don't always serve them very well. They don't really have time for a lot of messy emotions, and they don't really want to have to deal with emotional stuff that takes them all over the place. But because they are the sea goat, deep inside, they actually have a very spiritual, soft, emotional side. But it's very hard for that to come out. It's really interesting because my little guy, who's Capricorn, when he was very little, I started looking at things. You know, when you're an astrologer, you look for all of these traits and you start looking to see how young you can notice them. And when he was like a couple months old, at that point when they kind of start smiling at you and you start talking to him, maybe 4 or 5 months old, I noticed that he didn't like to make eye contact. And he would always kind of look to the left or look to the right, but he would smile. And I would say, look at mommy's eyes. And it almost became a joke. And he didn't want to look. And we would call it his little deadpan look. You know, he would tell these funny jokes, but he wouldn't really want to show emotion. And by looking at somebody in the eyes, it's very hard not to feel vulnerable. And I really can see at a very young age that he wanted to hide his emotions. He didn't want to show it. And a lot of times, even in their personality, they are hilarious. They are very funny. Jim Belushi was a Capricorn rising. But again, they have kind of this harder edge to them. Now, a couple of celebrities that I did take a look at that are Capricorn risings: Dustin Hoffman, Clark Gable, Susan Sarandon, and she had a moon in Capricorn as well, and Queen Elizabeth II. So when you look at the appearance of a Capricorn rising, often they have very dark eyes. They have a very strong look. They can be very beautiful, but you know when you go to shake their hand, you're going to be doing business. You're going to be having a serious conversation. They want to know the facts. They want to know the details, what's going on. And they are excellent at business. We're going to talk about that when we get into the houses. So just covering a few things. Saturn rules bones and teeth and joints. So physical issues for the Capricorn rising often can be arthritis or teeth situations. I know my daughter plays volleyball, and her ankles, they said your ankles are like a 70-year-old because she's played volleyball, and first thing to go are those joints. She gets a lot of inflammation there. So you guys may identify with those things. But the Capricorn rising has a very long, enduring lifespan, okay? They pace out their life. And because they're not all over the place emotionally, and they do want control, it's a very controlling energy. Saturn is very controlling. They really do pace themselves over a long period of time. And they have a strong ambition that is just unbelievable, that they will just keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. So those are some of the traits that you will see in a Capricorn rising. All right, well, let's dive into these houses and see what else we can pull out. So first of all, for the Capricorn rising, the second house falls into Aquarius. This is where you can make money. These are your values. So this is where the Capricorn rising is extremely intelligent in ways to make money. They can be very good on the internet. They can be very good in communication when it comes to money. Second house being money. Aquarius being very good communicators, but they like to talk to a lot of people and learn about a lot of different ways. So one way, if you are dating a Capricorn rising, the way to gain their attention is to talk about business things, ways to make money. They love to hear about things like, how did you start your business? And, what kind of portfolio do you have? Here is where a lot of times it is hard to tell them too much about what they need to do when it comes to money. Now, they will listen to you, but they're gathering information. Okay, they're gathering information for their portfolios, for their way of going. But when it comes to really telling them what to do with that second house Aquarius, they kind of already know. They've already studied it. They're pretty much ahead of you in that area. Now, in the third house, we see Pisces here. Now, third house represents siblings and community and cousins and networking, communication. Now, a lot of you may or may not know this, but Pisces can be very shy. As much as they are creative and as much as they are interesting, they do have kind of a shy side to them. And sometimes when the Capricorn rising does go to communicate in their community, they're not in your face. They know how to kind of work around people. This is where they're more sensitive. And when it comes to their siblings, this is where you can touch their heart the most. This is where they're open to more spiritual concepts. They don't receive spiritual guidance from just anyone, but when it comes to those they care about in their community and in their family and their siblings, they do feel the need to even be a spiritual leader for them or allow themselves to receive spiritual guidance. This is also where they can be deceived because Pisces can be all kinds of things. You think it's one thing and you find out it's not. Sometimes they find out about family things that they have to deal with. They thought something was one way their whole life. And they find out when it comes to family that there was some things that weren't exactly as they appeared. So those are some of the things that can happen. But when it comes to business and it comes to creating in the networking world, this is where the Capricorn rising is very creative. So for advertising and different things like that, they've got a real creative edge because they really care about the product. Some of us, if we're building a business, we just enjoy creating the product. Some people enjoy advertising the product. Some people enjoy being behind the scenes and making the product. But the Capricorn rising really has the whole picture and they can put it together. But this is the part where they come alive and can be very creative. Now, when we get to the fourth house, we know that the fourth house is ruled by Cancer, and this can represent the mother, the home life growing up, and the fourth house is in Aries, ruled by Mars. So there can be a really hard discipline factor here when it comes to their home life. Maybe they had a lot of expectations put on them. Maybe they were competitive with their mother, or their mother was a very strong, dominant figure that they just looked up to, or they felt like, that they could never attain. The emotional connection to the mother can be kind of difficult because the mother really comes off as a strong leader, a strong powerhouse. And that is the example that they have. Now, sometimes, because these themes can play out in a lot of different ways based on your whole chart, based on where your moon is and other things in your chart. But sometimes this can also be where the Capricorn rising needs to take care of the mother, be the knight in shining armor for their mother. So the home life is tough. It's disciplined. It's hard. A lot of expectations. They may have gone through a lot of different things, erratic things. with Mars there. When we move into the fifth house is ruled by Taurus, ruled by Venus. So this is where we have our creativity. The fifth house is our entertainment, how we express ourselves once we come out of the home, when we get out into the world. And Venus here is a really cool placement. Now remember, anytime you see the earth signs, you're going to see a strong financial stability or financial focus. So when it comes to entertainment, when it comes to children, when it comes to expressing themselves, this is where they need that security financially. It's always at the top of the list. Show me the money. Where's the money? How is this going to work out for me? It's also, the bull. So they're very good at teaching their children about stability. They want to teach their children how to have a secure life. Taurus here is also a place that, I like to say that you see Taurus in their expression because it's ruled by Venus. This could be music. A lot of times you see producers here, musicians here. You see just a pleasantness that they want everything to be calm and peaceful when it comes to their children and their expression. When it comes out, even though they're working really hard behind the scenes, when it comes out in their creative expression, there's a feeling from the Capricorn that's just like, oh yeah, this feels really good. So I think this gives them, a really great placement for products, products for women, making products for women because they're business minded, and just understanding what makes people feel good. So they're really good at that. Now, as we move into the sixth house, we've got the sixth house ruled by Mercury in Gemini. And this sixth house really represents our daily routine. Now, one of the things I want to say about the Capricorn rising, because you often hear and we often read about the obstacles that they go through and how difficult it is for them to climb their way to success. But as I've observed this, I have a little different perspective on this, and I think the sixth house might prove my theory. Sixth house is daily routine and how you do things. The Capricorn, to be successful, is one of those signs that literally has to learn how to do every single aspect of that business. And through this period of time and of years, they know how to be the hole punch, digger. They know how to, do all the behind the scene jobs. So when they create this empire, they have literally experienced every single aspect of that. And those obstacles, as they know that they want to get to here, there's something about Saturn that really says you need to have experienced it. You need to know it. You need to know how to do it. It's why they are often such perfectionists, because they've done it. A lot of times you work for a boss or you work for someone and, you're telling them how to do their job. They know how to, put the business together, but they've never actually, scooped the ice cream or, done the actual different aspects of the job. Not the Capricorn rising. With Gemini here, it's that jack of all trades, and it's the ability to juggle all kinds of different projects. So this is what makes them such excellent project managers and teachers. They know how to teach you to do all the different jobs. So it's structured as they are. When it comes to their daily routine, they can be all over the place. Okay, they're not as structured as you think. They have a lot of ideas and they like to network in their daily routine. So that's how they get stuff done. Now, let's look at the 7th house. The 7th house is partnerships. It is often even business partnerships. The 7th house here is ruled by the moon in Cancer. And the moon often represents mother. So when we looked at the 4th house, we saw this really strong mother, independent mother, this mother doing her own thing. And wasn't very emotional. It might have been all business, you know. But when we get into the 7th house, the Cancer rising is very drawn to a partner that is very mothering. Often it's the piece of them that they didn't receive, that nurturing, that soft place to fall. After a long, hard day at work, they want to come home to the kitchen, you know, smelling like chili. I don't know, coming up with different things, but they want to really, you know, come home to a place that's secure. They're actually very private, and they like things very structured. But when they come home, they want to take their boots off. They want to rest. They want to feel secure. Because this also can represent business partners, a lot of times they will be in business with their mother. It's not uncommon for that to happen, where they end up doing some type of family business or taking after the mother. Or taking over the mother, you know, the business that the mother started. So that's very true. You know, I was saying earlier, my son has the moon in Capricorn on the cusp. And it's funny because, you know, I developed a ranch, a riding facility here on 12 acres. And there was my son at 11 years old out there helping me clean stalls and helping me move horse corrals and transfer things and move things. And we just lived a very physical life during his early years. Very hardworking. And he was very hardworking. And now he has a moving company where he's moving people's homes all over all over Southern California. So in a way, he really, that hard work when he was young really paid off, because he's like only 27 years old and he's got this full business going. So I see that going on. So again, Capricorn risings often look for a kind of mother figure. If you're a male, sometimes you will be attracted to an older woman. That's a kind of a mother type. It's just something you need. For Capricorn rising women, they might actually be attracted to a younger man that they can have a little more control over, or an older man, but it's a very nurturing type relationship. You need a soft place to fall, okay? Because life has those challenges for you. Now, when we get into the 8th house, this is where things get really good for the Capricorn rising. As I said earlier, the Capricorn rising really struggles with having an ego, and kind of dealing with self-worth issues, insecure issues, because Saturn and the sun don't really get along. The sun really wants to be out there, and here I am. And Saturn is more about, you know, getting things right inside and kind of hard lessons going on. So they don't really have this chance to have this strong ego. They're dealing with a lot of internal stuff. But when we look at the 8th house, where money can be made, other people's money, inheritances, intimacy, this is where the Capricorn rising finds their ego, finds their security. And, you know, hey, I'm making money. I feel good. So when you look at any place in your chart where the sun is, that's the place that your ego is going to come out the most. That's the place you're going to be the strongest and feel the most secure. So makes sense that, you know, when we talk about Capricorn rising, we talk about them being, you know, focused on money. That's where they feel the best. That's where they feel like, you know, they can shine. Often you will see the Capricorn rising, the one that takes care of all the family stuff, inheritance stuff. Everybody goes to the Capricorn rising to, you know, take care of that kind of stuff. The stuff in the 8th house that nobody else wants to take care of. It's very important in relationships, talk about relationships, because the 8th house does represent intimacy. It's ruled by Scorpio, which is ruled by Pluto and Mars. So Scorpio is a very private place, and yet the sun is here, bringing that ego. So they are really good at doing the private behind the scene things. When it comes to relationships, if you are in a relationship with someone that has a lot of Capricorn in their chart, you know, they need to have that financial security and provide for their family or know that there's financial provision before they can really relax and be romantic and relax and have fun. That's why there's a lot of stress and anxiety here. Pluto can bring a lot of stress and anxiety. And when it comes to financial issues, it's like their whole foundation is shaken if that is not secure. I mean, I've seen Capricorns just literally fall apart during financial crisis emotionally. That's where emotionally they struggle because, again, this is where their ego is. This is where, you know, life tells them you're on the right track. And when that's not happening, it's really uncomfortable. If you're in a relationship with a Capricorn rising and, you know, you have no interest in material things or worrying about your retirement, we'll deal with it later when we get there, that relationship's going to be hard because they are thinking about the future. They are always thinking about their future. That's why they build so slow and right all along the way, because they're the ones that have the retirement, you guys. They're the ones that have the 401ks. They're the ones that are sneaking money away. See, that Scorpio energy is a little sneaky and private. And they will put away. They will sacrifice now to have security later. Often when you see the Capricorn rising, you know, it's like the billionaire that's driving down the road with in a Toyota. And, you know, they have all kinds of money, but you wouldn't know it because their ego and how they look on the outside, the rising sign, isn't wrapped up in what they appear like. If they look like they have money, they're just really happy to know they have it. And they like nobody else to know about it. That's more fun for them than for everyone to think they're a big shot. So that's my thoughts on that. So let's move now into the 9th house. 9th house represents spirituality, represents adventure, travel, higher education. This is where they are very intelligent. This is also, though, where they're very calculated. Capricorn risings are not going to believe anything. Like, I'm a Pisces rising, and so if you tell me, you know, oh my gosh, I saw an orb and this angel came to me in the middle of the night, I'll be like, really? What did it say? You know, I'm just interested in just the thought of it, whether it's true or not. It intrigues me. But for the Capricorn rising, they're going to be like, okay, I got to go. Because they really aren't going to believe anything. They're going to research it themselves. They're going to ask a lot of questions. They're going to analyze those things. A lot of times their spiritual life is very structured, and they are often drawn to very structured religions. When you look back, and I won't get into a whole thing about it, but I've done a lot of studies on religious leaders and religions that have started, you know, from different types of leaders. Usually see a strong Capricorn energy in those religions. And you can see it in their buildings. They're very structured. They're very black and white. They're not very fancy. They're very functional. And so it's not abnormal for a Capricorn rising to be, you know, kind of standoffish and be very fixed in their belief systems and very calculated there. So now another interesting concept I want to bring out about the houses here, the 9th house. Often we talk about the 10th house really reflecting the father. But the 9th house, when you look at the Sagittarius, which is what rules the 9th house, The Sagittarius is often very mesmerized by their father. Sagittarius men often, want to be just like their father. That Jupiter energy can almost create like a, what's the word I'm looking for? Almost like, they're larger than life. And they want to be just like their father or just like somebody that they look up to. With Virgo here in the 9th house, often this can be a real best friend with the father or a relationship with the father that's on mutual grounds. Virgo often can be buddy with parents or higher authorities. So they, just another little interesting fact, and you guys can tell me if that's true, but often, they take on a relationship with the father that is more on the same playing field. See them as a sibling of some kind or a business partner. Okay, so there you go on that. Now, when we move into the 10th house, I've kind of got different notes just to keep me on track. We see that Venus rules the midheaven here. And this is the highest point of the chart. This is the point of the chart where we see career, we see reputation, we see the outward expression of all this inner work that we've been talking about. All of these themes that are being played out in our lives come out through the 10th house. It's where it shines. And the 10th house here is ruled by Libra. So this is, again, why Capricorn risings make such excellent entrepreneurs or business-minded people. Because when they're dealing with a production or building their empire, as I say, this is my son's empire here, building their empire, they are very cautious. They want harmony. They want everything to run smoothly. They want everyone to get along. They're trying to weigh things out for everyone. This is also a place where they can communicate well, because Libras have a way of communicating in a way that makes sure everything is taken care of, both sides of the coin. This is also where they can be judges because of that Sagittarian energy, that right and wrong compass inside, that black and white compass of what is right when it comes out through the 10th house. They make excellent lawyers and attorneys because they want to be fair, but they know how to handle the law. Okay, they know how to handle what's right and what's wrong. This also is a place where you can have a lot of musicians. There's a lot of musicians, Stevie Nicks, Pat Benatar, Steve Perry from Journey, that have strong Capricorn, like Sun in Capricorn, Moon in Capricorn, and they have this Libra 10th house energy that comes out in music, comes out in their voice. But if you look at their type of music, it's that very, hit me with your best shot, Pat Benatar, kind of like, hey, let's go. So, they don't let you get away with too much. One thing about the Capricorn rising is, they are going to tell you the truth. And because they don't deal with, trying to get on your good side emotionally, they want the facts. They want things to work, and they tell you how it is. I think about, just different businesses that I've had. Being a Virgo, I've always worked a lot with Capricorns. It's that, those earth signs. And, I tend to like to, talk about the big picture, manifest it. Someday I'm going to have this. Someday I'm going to have that. And over here, I would love to have this. And I see it. I see it completed. And I even pretty much know what it's going to take to get there, but I don't want to talk about all the details. I want to dream about it. And I have this one Capricorn friend of mine that would always come over, and I would go on and on about all the things I wanted to do. And he'd always say in this voice, he'd say, well, what you got to remember is, and he'd go on how I needed to remember that I needed to get permits from the county, and I need to do this, and I need to make sure of that, and do I have liabilities? And I'm like, yeah, okay. But that is what we need. That is the ability to build something that's not going to fall apart. Because when you miss those details, when you overlook those details, you know, you're building your house on the sand, and things crumble as they get higher and higher. That's where the Capricorn rising lays that foundation. So all that being said, I wanted to tell you about that. All right, so let's keep going. Now we're going to move into the 11th house. The 11th house represents dreams and wishes, represents your circles, higher circles. You know, your 3rd house is kind of your community, your networking, but your 11th house is really those people in your life that help you attain your dreams, that you look up to. I often say like your gurus or your older brother, somebody that you really value and respect. And here we have that in Scorpio. So this is where the Capricorn rising, the thing that I love about them is they don't tell you how they got all their information. They are very private about, you know, those people that they interact with. They have very few people, and they're very honest people. You know, obviously when you get into money and business and different things like that, you can't have deception. Scorpio obviously has a very erratic side to it. So the Capricorn rising often can have problems when it gets up into their success and money. You do have to be careful, but you are choosy about who your, you know, inner circle is and who you gain advice from. And you don't tell all. You know, often we get so excited. I'm one for this. Get so excited about what I want to do, and you tell everybody about what you want to do. Well, it might take me 3 years to do it, but I've told everybody all my ideas. And then the next thing I know, people are doing them everywhere. And I'm like, I had that idea. I was going to do that. And I didn't get to it. But I talked about it, and I gave it to everybody else, and they did it. So whether that's, you know, whatever that is, sometimes that just happens. But for the Capricorn rising, they hold their ideas very close to them. And remember, 2nd house in Aquarius, where money can be made, they're inventors. They're intelligent. They know the trends. They know what happens before what happens. So in their 11th house, where it's going to manifest, they keep everything very close to them. Okay, very secretive in how they've got their information and their money. You know, and this is also a place in a good way where other people's money, other people's investments can come into play for your dreams as a Capricorn rising. Okay, so yeah, you've got some good stuff going on here in this 11th house. You do just have to be careful. All right, now 12th house. 12th house represents our spirituality, kind of our private chamber. It can represent our, you know, mental stability. It can represent prisons and places of isolation, the place where we go when we just need to go deep within and shut out the world. Here, they have the 12th house in Sagittarius. Now, Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter. So this place that we all want to go and hide is very expanded for the Capricorn rising. And it's very adventurous, and it's very creative. This is also, I see a lot of times the Sagittarius energy as, again, spiritual teachers. So you do have this very, very deep spiritual side to you. Where we have the sea goat, little Cappy here. And the sea goat is an animal that can climb mountains, okay, but can swim across a broad, you know, big oceans. There's nothing too big for the Capricorn rising. And that's often why a lot of their dreams and a lot of their visions can happen across the country or world renowned. They can become, you know, huge success, and it can go all over the world. with their ideas. So that 12th house is just the place that, you know, that subconscious. So your dreams are big. You just hide it. You keep a lot of things close inside. And after going through all of these houses, if I could just say, with a lot that's going on right now for the Capricorn, Pluto is in Capricorn for many, many more years. This is a generational energy. And so Capricorns are going through huge transformation right now in the collective. And you guys have felt it. It's not allowing you to hide behind the scenes. Because Pluto is like a volcano and is really destroying many of our traditions and many of our structures and many of our, you know, ways of going. Although we are, you know, as a collective working through that together, new systems will always be built, new systems that work, you know, until they don't work anymore. And the Capricorn, we need you. We need you to help us build these new structures. A lot of times the Capricorn rising, you know, fears being out of control. And that's where a lot of that anxiety comes from. With Pluto here, there's so much energy coming in to your being right now that may really be blowing out the security of feeling in control. All the ways you've always done things may not be working anymore. And that alone brings a sense of anxiety and a sense of insecurity. But what you have to know is that the universe is not going to take anything away that it's not going to replace with something better. That it's not going to leave you without a foundation. It's just that it's bringing in a fresh new foundation. And you guys have what it takes. You're visionaries. You have a deep spiritual side. You're inventive. You're good with money. You're good with the long haul. And I want you to embrace that. I want you to really, or I want to encourage you to really understand the power that you have, the gift that you have. You know, a lot of people talk about, you know, the Capricorn energy and they aren't sure about it or what to do with it because you guys are so hard. But I'll tell you what, the Capricorn is really like the bodyguard of the universe. You know, when I think of, like, you know, if you go to a bar and there's a bodyguard in the back and it's just somebody and they've got the black jacket, hat, and they're just sitting there and they know what's going on and they're not going to let anything happen. And I mean, this could be a bodyguard anywhere. That's the Capricorn. You guys are the bodyguards. You guys are the ones that understand what makes the world tick. And you know how to keep us level. I know you have to deal with a lot of that internal conversation going on about right and wrong. But trust, just trust that you're going to have what you need when you need it. You'll have the insight, you'll have the intuition. And lighten up a little bit because you've got the universe's back and the universe has your back. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope this was helpful. And if you'd like a more personal, in-depth reading, you can schedule an appointment with me at cowgirlastrologer.com. I hope you guys check it out. Thanks, you guys. Have an awesome day.